Today, I'm starting my personal skyblock world. I've always wanted to be actually committed to one of these instead of abandoning it halfway through. So while I play, I'm going to read some crazy confessions from Reddit and give my thoughts. I'd also love to read some of your confessions, totally anonymous, so if you've got one, feel free to email me below. Anyways, let's get into the first story. This one's a doozy. Okay, I hooked up with my best friend's mom, and I regret it. I'm 23, and my best friend is also 23 male. We've been friends since elementary school, so we're very close. Even early on, our families would invite one another over for parties, get-togethers, etc. to this day still. My birthday was last week, and I didn't really have any plan besides working in the morning and doing cake with some family, but that wasn't until late when everyone got home. I decided to hit up my best friend, I'll call him Ethan, when I'm off work, that we should hang out and figure out something else to do. I finish up work, go home to freshen up, and I make my way over to his house. I get there, and him, his two siblings, and mom was home, so when I opened the door to go in, they all yelled happy birthday. Before I go to say anything, Ethan told me they had a potential idea to do for my birthday. Me, Ethan, his brother, not his sister, she's underage to drink, and his mom all go into town and walk around hitting up bars, clubs, places to eat, and whatever else pops up. He says his mom will pay for an Uber into town and back to the house, then one for me to go back home. Then Ethan will pick me up tomorrow to get my car back. That's a lot of driving. Okay. I thought that was a great plan, so I said yes. I don't want to make this crazy long, so I'll shorten this part up to get to the main part. We go into town and we hit up a restaurant first, and we went bar hopping essentially the rest of the night. We got there between 12:30 to 1 p.m. and didn't leave until 8 p.m. We were planning to stay longer, but we were tapped out at this point in the night. Safe to say we were all drunk, but somehow Ethan managed to get more drunk than all of us. I had to help him walk without stumbling off the sidewalks. We're all in our Uber ride home, and to get back to their respective house, and we all go inside and everyone does their own thing. Ethan and his brother went into their room, their mom went into her room, and I just sat on the couch, hanging out with the dog. It wasn't too long, after maybe a half an hour, and Ethan's mom comes out of her room. She walks towards the kitchen, but she glances at me and then does a gasp and says, "I'm so sorry, I completely forgot to send you an Uber." That she will order one, but I told her it's fine, and then I'll send an Uber in a little bit for myself when I feel a little bit more sober. I felt fine, but it was one of those everyone spins if I get up and also if I close my eyes. I think he meant to say everything, not everyone, but I digress. She asked if I was feeling alright and if I needed anything, but I told her that I was fine and I would just sit here longer until I'm ready. She walked around the couch and sat down next to me, proceeding to rub my shoulder. "If you need anything, I'm here," she says. I thank her, and after another 20 or so seconds, she stops rubbing my shoulder. We talk about the night a bit, and she leans her head onto my shoulder and says that she's tired. While she's leaning onto me, I told her she should get some sleep in, that it's been a long night of drinking, but she insisted to stay until I left so that I wasn't alone on my birthday. I'm slouching on the couch while she leans on me, and I'm scrolling through TikTok, and now we have some time for some small talk. And then she asked me something. I didn't really expect this, but she asked, "Do you like me leaning onto you?" I honestly didn't know what to say, so I didn't respond, and she continued to press her head up closer to me and ask me again. "It's nice not being alone on my birthday," I said, because I didn't know what the frick to say. My mind was racing through thoughts and thoughts of what's going on. She slowly lifts her head up, and I see in the corner of my eye, she's looking at me, and I look at her. "Happy birthday." And then she leans in and kisses. No, dude, she kisses you on the lips. A peck, but a kiss. I just look at her in disbelief. She just looks at me, and then after a bit of a staring contest, I lean to kiss her. Without going into crazy detail for the rest of the story, we didn't necessarily have sex, but the furthest we got was her giving me head and finishing on her face. Okay, I just don't need to know those details. Once it was over, I ordered an Uber home. I just texted my dad to hold off on cake for tomorrow before getting home, so I went instantly to my room. During the moment, it felt amazing and was such a surreal experience. But looking back at it, I really do regret it. It's my best friend's mom that I essentially grew up with since elementary school. It's not like she's ugly or anything. It's the exact opposite. It's just I feel like I sabotaged our friendship on my birthday. I can't ever bring this up too. I don't even know where to start. "Hey Ethan, I'm sorry, but I just want to let you know that I slept with your mom after my birthday." Oh man. Well, that's the end of that story. Kind of a crazy one. Some of these stories, you just kind of wonder if they're fake, but then you realize some people are genuinely insane. Now, I'm not going to say that this didn't happen, but I do think that there's definitely some issues going on with this mom. Like, I feel like It's almost predatory-ish. If it was my kid and it was their friend, it doesn't really matter what age they are. Knowing that it's the same age as my kid, that's really weird to me. So having this mom act in this situation the way she did kind of seems fake. Maybe they're going through a different situation that I obviously don't know enough about. But that is crazy. Could be some grooming going on. Let's just be so real right now. Like that doesn't just casually happen and you're not okay with it. But I think that you definitely don't want to tell anyone about this. I feel like the confession will fully not only mess up your friendship, but also that relationship between the son and mom. Shout out Ethan. He's probably a dog, but you know, you dogged on his mom. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it sounds like you didn't even get to eat your cake. It's just, I also would make sure that you don't even tell your friend group. I feel like if you start telling your friend group, then eventually everyone will know except you. But that's a crazy story. But that's a crazy story. I am definitely shocked that nothing bad happened from it, as in there is no negative consequence immediately afterwards, like you didn't get caught or anything. I do think that there's going to be some consequence eventually, but you know, for now, I'm just going to keep expanding my island and placing more trees because reflecting on this story, my final thoughts are this guy definitely probably got groomed. You're under the influence. She's older than you. And I think that's really weird from both parties. Not necessarily that one of them could leave if you're spending... You're supposed to have the comfort of your friend's house. So it looks like your trust kind of got misplayed. But I would just say keep it to yourself at this point. So great story. Really interesting. Let's go to the next one. I called 911 on my ex-boyfriend, and now he's a registered sex offender. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is going to be a crazy one, a doozy, as some would say. My ex and I had been together for 3 years when this incident occurred. Our son was 3 months old and is now 2. You have a son on it? You have a son? Okay, well, relationships are going to relationship, especially some of these, you know, Reddit stories. They're interesting, and I'm not surprised that there's a kid involved, as in they have a kid. Hopefully there's no kid involved. I haven't read the story yet. Okay, my ex and I had been together for 3 years when this incident occurred. Our son was 3 months old and now is 2. My ex was a cheater, and I found out he cheated on me my entire pregnancy and was still doing so when I was 2 months postpartum. I didn't say anything initially because I was so heartbroken and suffering from severe postpartum depression and anxiety, so I didn't say anything. He left the house one night and said that he was going to his best friend's house. I had a gut feeling that he was lying, and we had each other on Life 360 while I was pregnant for safety reasons, of course. And I checked his location and discovered that he was pausing his location, so it just appeared he was still at my home. I had remembered that he had shared his location with me on Find My once. I'm guessing that means Find My iPhone once. So I went to see if he was still shared, and miraculously, it was. He was driving to 7-Eleven, and I watched his location closely, and he started heading towards his friend's. I started to feel guilty until he passed his friend's house and parked at a park. I watched his location for 20 minutes and contemplated going there myself, but I wasn't going to drag my infant out of the house. I just sobbed and sobbed because I knew he was likely with a random person. I had found videos of him having sex with people outside and in parking lots. What? No. Okay, at the park, and then went to, oh gosh. I called 911 and reported 2 people having sex at the park, then went to sleep. The next day, I woke up to missed calls from the police station and his mom. Nobody could bail him out, so he sat there a good couple of weeks until he had a court appearance and was let out with a date to come back. In those few weeks, I felt pretty free and great about my decision. His family was super disappointed as his mugshot for public indecency and lewdness became public. He ended up taking charges for public indecency and lewdness and had to register as a sex offender, which has since become an obstacle for him to parent. Because he was at a children's park, it made his case pretty difficult, and he isn't allowed at most places with kids. He can't come to our son's swim classes or my daycare events. I kind of feel guilty. Nobody knows it was me who called the police on him. I feel a lot of guilt because I know this will impact our son for the rest of our lives, and it's a choice I can't take back and a choice I made out of anger. I think, to be honest, this woman is in one of those abuser kind of, you love your abuser situations, because being realistic here, I think there's so many red flags, not on her side, but on the way she's reacting to this. So it's not like it's her fault. I'm not saying that. It's just that she's in a terrible situation because he's cheating on you. And I guess it's your ex now, so it's like, it's weird, but still a co-parent. I still find that weird that they would be cheating. You know, maybe that's just me being more traditional, but I don't find that fair to you at all. But I digress. What's crazy to me is that the case is obviously quite insane because being a sex offender is a crazy mark, even though you're just like, I would personally never, I'm just going to preface it, I would never have sex at a park. You know, I don't feel like I should have to say that, but I'm going to anyways. What's crazy to me is that they do get that pulled on them because I guess it is a park, but it's at night. So like, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I didn't know that was a thing. It makes total sense though. It makes total sense. I'm not against it. But yeah, having cases of public indecency and lewdness, that is going to be bad for you. That's obviously, and you can't really co-parent if the other partner isn't even able to come to daycare or take their kid to the park. What are they going to do? Just keep them at the house all day, lock them up? It's not a great situation. So I can see why there's some guilt, but at the same time, it seems like the whole context of what you were doing, what this lady was doing while her ex was at prison, seemed like it was going okay. So obviously she's able to take care of this kid on her own. Now, I don't really know the laws of, you know, whenever a kid gets taken from their mom and dad, or like if one parent gets custody. I'm lucky that my parents are together. I don't know how those custody laws work, and I don't know like if one party was supposed to get money over the other, and like if one's supposed to pay the other. Like, is that alimony? I'm not entirely sure, but I would say that there should be something that you can look into that. I don't want to say get a restraining order, obviously, but I would just say if things were better in those weeks that he was gone, then just enjoy that. And also, there is a financial burden because you couldn't afford to get him out, or maybe their family couldn't get to afford him out, but obviously you didn't either. So maybe it's good that it stays that way and that you can try to keep them in there as long as you can. And if you know that's a repeated thing, me personally, I'm not going to cap, guys. I'm not going to front. I'm also going to call again and again until he is probably a registered, like a full-blown in jail, like person. I don't know what to say. Like, that's not something that I approve of. I think that at a public park is insane. Of all the places you could go to, like, you could find a better place. I mean, and are you that like worthless? Like, do you both live with your parents so you guys can't go to your own places? Like, I'm not surprised, because if you're, you know, a deadbeat father cheating on your baby mama, like that's crazy to me, and that wouldn't surprise me that you can't afford anything because you're probably living an awful lifestyle. So I'm siding with this woman. Obviously, I think she shouldn't feel bad about what she does. It does kind of suck that she's in this situation, but also don't have babies with men who aren't ready for babies. Know your worth, queens and kings, and don't settle. Like, this is just like, she seems like she's with a horrible person. Obviously, it's an ex for a reason, but still, don't be sleeping around with people that you know you're not going to want to have kids with. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you are that horny, like, go take care of it yourself. You don't need to go. I don't know. Like, putting yourself into this situation is definitely a interesting story, though. I think that there's a lot to learn from that. I think there's a lot that you can take home about it. Okay, let's read a little bit more of a lighthearted one. I slapped the older teenage brother of the boy I'm babysitting across the face for bullying his little brother. Okay, I grew up with two brothers, so I already am going to have some opinions about this, some stronger ones. So, you know, there's a lot of jokes that go back and forth between men, especially when I was younger, dude. We got into some fist fights. I always beat up my little brother, and that was just part of life. And now that he's bigger than me, I'm not going to try to pick a fight because I'm not going to win. And also, I'm more mature. I don't need to pick a fight with my little brother. That's kind of crazy. Anyways, let's read the story. I'm 22, female, and have babysat for this family with two boys since I was about 15. They have two boys. One is 15 himself now, and his younger brother, who is 7. They get along with me really well, and their mother is really sweet and trusts me too. This Saturday, their mother had work and needed me to be there to babysit the younger boy. However, the older son has reached that age where he can be a bit teenage tantrumy and has some weekend homework to do that he never does unless supervised. So I know she appreciates me keeping an eye on him too, especially since even in front of me, he swore at his mother once and she grounded him and sent him to his room, but it didn't make much of a difference. It's crazy, okay? The 7-year-old was playing with some toys that his brother kept snatching out of his hands just to annoy him. He kept doing it again and again, and I told him not to firmly, but he ignored me. The 4th time, I stretched out my hand to take the toy from him to give to his brother, and he spat on my hand. That's weird, okay? With the spit still on my wet hand, I drew my hand back and gave him a very hard slap right across his face. Like a proper movie slap. His head snapped to the right, his hair flew all over, and you could basically get my fingerprints off his left cheek with how clearly my finger marks showed on it. His own spit had been transferred from my hand back to his face and was dripping off of it. Dude, he didn't spit that much. It wasn't dripping off of it. Okay, anyways. I was furious. He began to cry and instantly handed the toy over. I took him by the arm and marched him to his study table and set his homework in front of him. He immediately started doing it and became overly polite. He asked for help when he was stuck, said please and thank you, and gave his brother no trouble at all. When his mother came, he told her I had slapped him. She asked me, and with no apology, I told her I did, and that I'm comfortable I did the right thing. If she wanted to let me go, that was fine. She immediately said she did not want to. Her younger son, and even her older son, like me a lot, and she trusts me completely. Her older son is grounded for a week, and he personally apologized to me, which I accepted. It has made me second guess myself, though. I've never hit anyone before, and these are two boys I know and like very much, and I hit one across his face. Obviously, it's not allowed, but I felt no guilt and still feel very little about it. That is upsetting me a little about myself, and yet I just know if he dares to do it again, he's getting another slap on his face. Okay, this was a funny one because I grew up with two brothers, and I've been the slappy and I've been the slapper, so I have a lot of experience in this. However, I never had a babysitter, at least not one when I was older. Obviously I'm siding with the babysitter on this one. It's pretty obvious, like, don't just slap kids, right? If a baby's misbehaving, don't just start slapping it. That's just child abuse. But if a 15-year-old is being crappy and spitting on you, his face is gonna heal. I'm gonna be so honest. I am advocating for, like, lightly punishing children in this way, especially when they're being physically mean. I will warn, I do think there's a warning, though, that a 15-year-old boy, it depends on the boy, depends on the woman as well, may be able to fight back against a woman. So I would only do this in this scenario where she is highly respected and even the boy won't fight back. I fully stand by this. I just don't want the babysitter to get hurt by any anger issues, you know? But it's also a wake-up call. I'm never going to be someone to beat my kids or beat up, my partner. Obviously, I hate that. I hate even saying that. I don't even want to be put in that room. So it's just one of those things where it's like physical violence is really not the answer, not the answer to everything, at least. But in this case, he kind of deserved it. Like, boys are gonna fight. I remember a lot of the lessons I learned were in fights and physical altercations. That's a hard word. So it makes sense that he was respectful afterwards. And obviously there's, a limit to what you can do, especially as a babysitter. But if their parents were okay with it, the kids obviously learned from it, then I think there's no harm, no foul. As I said, just be careful about the sizes. Anyways, pretty good progress for our Skyblock Island. I will be back and expanding this one, so I can't wait to see all that we build. And thank you for watching this first video. I hope there's more to come. Thank you all.